jump back in as a regular once we get going here.
Sure. We've been talking about servant leadership has two dimensions, both service and leadership, and bad leadership lacks one of those qualities. It is either over dominant or it's like kind of, I guess the word that I've heard is effeminate, where the priest is afraid to make any decision. He doesn't know how to exercise his authority, and the vapid, vacant kind of lack of presence and authority that is supposed to be healthy actually causes a whole lot of problems. Kind of like when the older child who's put in charge doesn't really take charge, and they don't really keep the room. They don't protect. And it happens as the weak and those who are in trouble, they actually end up getting hurt in that process. What has been your experience? Give us a call and let us know. And what are your kind of advice about what do you want to see in the church as far as servant leadership goes?
Absolutely. So as we jump into this topic, our phone lines are open. Those are all ready to go. We had a little bit of technical difficulties there, but we are back and ready for you. And, as I mentioned in the intro, which apparently, I don't know if you could hear or not, but I wanted to encourage our listeners today. Father Sam and I are simply two servants. We need many, many more of you to share your stories, your perspectives, and insights. So call in and share, how do you serve in your parish community? What is that like for you? Is it easy? Is it difficult? What kind of situations have come up? Have you ever bumped heads with the priests or the deacons or other fellow ministry members? How did you handle that? Give us a call at 877-757-9424. That's 877-757-9424. And I really, really sense that these little technical difficulties, they're usually gremlins trying to get us. That is the enemy attacking the good news that we are trying to share with you here on the Guadalupe Radio Network, that you are trying to share with our listeners as well. So give us a call, share now, join this powerful programming at 877-757-9424. This is, I don't, what do you have to say, Father Sam? I think this is going to be a real good one.
Well, it's like St. Maximilian Kolbe said, the devil has got his tail caught in the press. And there's like this exorcism prayer we do of technical stuff quite frequently, because this is a common thing. And like you said, it's got to be good if the devil's already getting his tail caught in the airwaves, and that we actually had silence for a little while there. So sorry about that. We'll try to get things on track with the next one.
Absolutely. Yes, of course. We do apologize, but as you know, oftentimes that is just the enemy sneaking in. So please pray for us and please join us as we talk about servant leadership today. As I've stated, our phone lines are open, they're working, they're ready for you. Father Sam and I are heading into the first break, so this is the perfect time for you to share. How are you a servant leader in your parish community? What is that like? What are the situations that you face? What are the relationships that happen there? Give us a call at 877-757-9424. That's 877-757-9424. And stay tuned, because we'll be right back with The Quest here on the Guadalupe Radio Network.
I'm Nick de la Torre, host of Morning Joy, where truth matters. Do you enjoy the mornings? Hey, I know how it is. But what if I told you that just setting your alarm a little earlier can help you start your day with truth and joy? That's what Morning Joy is here for. We have inspirational and fun guests and contributors, games and prayers. And when you start your day right, the rest of the day goes so much better. Listen starting at 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern, and subscribe to the Morning Joy podcast.
Come on, get in the chopper now.
Where are we headed?
The GRN is raffling off a 2026 Mercedes-Benz GLB 250 in midnight black.
Why can't we just go to grnonline.com/raffle or call 888-784-3476?
That's a great idea, and we can support Catholic radio on the GRN at the same time.
Well, what are we waiting for?
That's right, the time is now. Come on, do it.
Welcome back to The Quest, an extraordinary journey where every step brings us closer to discovering God's love for us. Want to join the conversation? Give us a call at 877 757 9424.
Welcome back to The Quest here on the Guadalupe Radio Network. I'm Bailey Garland, joined by Father Sam Medley of the Soul Community today, and we are talking about servant leadership. This is a really powerful topic that is so relevant for all of us because you, me, Father Sam, we're all servants here trying to serve within the church. Different roles, maybe different positions, but we all play a part in serving the church. So we want to hear from you. Me and Father Sam, we're just two servants. We want to hear your story. How has the Lord used you to serve your parish community? What sort of situations have you had to navigate in that ministry service that you've been doing and serving in your parish community? Have you ever encountered, a situation where you've kind of had to show some authority in the church, even as a lay member? Give us a call at 877 757 9424. That's 877-757-9424. And I got to give a big shout out and hello to all of our viewers who are watching us on our socials today, our YouTube crowd that has been showing up so faithfully. Make sure your comments are in the chat. We'd love to hear your questions, your comments. Same to all of you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, X, whatever social media platform you are viewing us on. Now, I'd like to welcome on a first-time caller. We've got Patricia, who's listening on the Guadalupe Radio Network from Dallas, Texas. Welcome, Patricia. You are on The Quest with Father Sam Medley.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for taking my call. Yes, well, I've worked in many capacities in the church for many years, but I just recently moved out of a parish that I was in for a very long time, and I haven't gotten back involved yet, but I noticed that one thing in the last parish that I was in, my pastor was amazing. I loved him so much. But at one time, we asked if we could have bells during Mass. To one of the ladies who was in the worship team, I guess they called it worship team instead of Mass. And she said, oh, no, that went out with, when Vatican II came in, that was back in the Latin Mass. And it when we approached to have that, a request, and it was kind of, I don't know. It was kind of like some of these women were kind of running the church. And I've seen that in other parishes where sometimes a lot of women kind of take over a little bit. But once the pastor, who was so beautiful, had moved on to a different assignment, a new priest came in, all of a sudden there was bells because I guess he took it over, to see that, it was done. So.
Yeah, absolutely, Patricia. That's actually a very common problem that the priest doesn't step in enough, especially if somebody is not very well formed. And a lot of people who have a little bit of formation are more dangerous than those who have either a lot or no formation because they think they know something. And that's definitely not something that went out with Vatican II. And there's many things like that, like anytime you want to put up a larger crucifix or kneelers or anything like that, it's a really common thing. And so thank you for commenting on that. And I would say to bear with that system or that situation because, and pray that things do improve, because what can happen is a priest might not be mature enough to know how to direct people, especially if they haven't had very much formation, or they think they have authority, too much authority that they probably shouldn't have been given, knowing their kind of lack of formation.
Yeah. I think sometimes lay people think that the priests get moved, in June and all that it's their parish, and it's not. It doesn't belong to the lay people. It belongs to the priest. I mean, it's the pastor's. He's the top authority, and so I think there needs to be a lot more humility with lay people.
Well, so That's an interesting thing you say, Patricia, because that's something that really is key for this whole episode of servant leadership. It's actually the parish belongs to Jesus Christ. And the authority that the priest has, or anyone has, and anyone is participating in that authority of Christ, is only because they're participating in the authority. And so the priest can have humility towards, I guess, what people call power, or the right to be the one to say something, because he is speaking on behalf of Jesus. And that's always the discernment. That constant discernment goes back to that. And the pastor does have the responsibility, and he is accountable. He can't slough it off and say, "Well, Jesus is really in charge. I just work here." But on the other hand, there's a tension between him having the accountability and responsibility, but also realizing that all authority really belongs to God.
That's beautiful, Father.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling and pointing that out. I'm so glad you did point it out. That was a key thing in this conversation about servant leadership.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Patricia, for joining us today and hopping on to this conversation and into this conversation as a first-time caller. Way to get us going. I hope Patricia's call, let it inspire you to call in with your story about servant leadership in the church. This is what we're talking about today. What situations have come up that you've had to navigate in parish life? Perhaps you've bumped heads with ministry leaders or bumped heads with the priest or deacon in charge. Bring those questions, those situations to Father Sam today. Let us navigate them together, or inspire us and share how you use your gifts to serve in the parish community. And how has that been for your heart? Has it been in your relationship with God? Our phone lines are ready for you at 877-757-9424. That's 877-757-9424. Father Sam, I wonder if you had any further thoughts elaborating on Patricia's call, because she had some great stuff that she was saying.
It made me think a lot about, on one hand, the errors in understanding servant leadership come from both sides. On one side, you can say, and this ultimately goes back to the most Holy Trinity, that there is a Father and a Son within the Holy Trinity, and that the fatherhood of God is perpetuated or iconographied in the church in the fatherhood of the priests, and the filiation or sonship it's perpetuated or re-echoed in the life of the faithful. That's not to say that one. And it's also in every single family, but in a parish family also. So the errors are when there's a blurring of saying, we're all equals here. No, you're not. You are definitely not equal. You do not have to answer for every person in the parish the way the priest does. He has to give an account to God for those people. And he should have the right to exercise the authority that he needs to take care of them. That means it is not your decision. You are not in charge, and knowing when to cede that to him. But on the other hand, there's also a distinctness, recognizing that each and every single one of us is made in the image and likeness of God, but we have different vocations. Now, the difference and the similarity is quite astonishing. Father James Flanagan, the founder of SOLT, he said this: there is more similarity between a man and a priest than a rock and a man. Just think about that. Like, what's the difference between a rock and a man? That's the difference between a priest and a man.
Wow.
It's pretty huge difference. Like, a man cannot confect the Eucharist, and he cannot absolve sin. He cannot, and he does not have to answer to God for the souls of the people in his parish.
Yeah. And
a priest does. And so you can have support. You're answerable to the priest, but only as much as you support him in his role.
Yeah.
It's a one-sided street. The priest is responsible for you. You are not really ultimately responsible for him, except to pray for him and support him. But he is definitely responsible for you, and that's where his authority comes from in Jesus Christ.
Well, it really makes you think, like what is our role in the parish? How do we best support the priest? And, Patricia was bringing up, sometimes it seems like the women at certain parishes feel like they're stepping up and running things. And on one hand, you need that support, I'm sure, as a priest. I remember
Absolutely.
one priest saying, he was like, I'm so grateful for the Marthas who run my parish, who help him run the parish. He needed that assistance and support. But, we're also getting YouTube or excuse me, some comments from listeners on the socials. I don't believe this one was YouTube, but some are saying, some working at parishes seem grumpy and annoyed. It's not a great look. And, some see working at a parish as a job, not a ministry. And that's pretty sad. So, I think these are interesting things to be thinking about and asking ourselves, how am I giving to the parish? And am I just judging the people that work there, or am I contributing to the betterment of the parish as well? What are your thoughts, Father Sam?
Well, we just talked about this last night. The pastor and I'm the associate pastor. He's a pastor. It's just funny because I was his formator in seminary, and
Aw.
I was his mentor,
Yeah.
and he still leans on me somewhat in that capacity. And he was asking me all this advice, and I was like, look, I think this is what we need to do. We need to require a annual day of recollection for all the lectors, the music people, the hospitality, even the people that collect the collection, because they were like doing some kind of obnoxious things. They were shaking the collection in front of some people they know who are wealthy, and like, some pretty bad things.
Eek.
And yeah, like, ew, yeah, gross, stop it.
Yeah.
People need formation, and part of leadership is getting people formed in that. But the other part of leadership, and this is my favorite model, I love to assemble very strong women. Very strong women, very strong. Like, maybe it's because I know my mom's listening. She's a very strong woman. And my model is I love to have people who have very strong personalities, highly gifted,
Yeah.
and give them the ball and let them score the touchdown. And the best way to do that is to recognize that everybody has God-given gifts, but a leader has the authority to step in and direct them so that they're able to give their gifts to the fullness of their capacity in the role that has been given them by God. And being faithful means that you can serve the parish, and you can lead a whole bunch of souls to God in a parish ministry if God is calling you to that, and to answer that call. Are you being called to serve God? Give us a call. Let us know what your story is. How have you interacted with different situations in your parishes?
Yeah, that is a great, this is going to spark some great conversation, I think, especially, among women and men alike. Like, men out there, do you feel like there is a place and a role for you to serve the church, in different ministries of the church? Have you stepped up, and offered your services to the church? In what capacity? What is that like? Women, same thing. Do you feel like you've run in, like Patricia said, to other women who maybe feel like they're a little bit more in charge than they do? Or do you have a great relationship with the priest and he's given you, some leadership authority to run a ministry or something like that? We'd love to hear how those situations are playing out in your parish. Our phone lines are ready for you at 877-757-9424. That's 877-757-9424. Father and I are about to approach a break here in just a bit, so I'll give the number again before we go. But, Father, it's interesting too that you say this, because I know, especially in my own personality, and I'd love to touch more about this later in the show if we have time, but there is especially for people like me, I need service to flourish. I feel like, what JP2 says, man cannot find himself until he makes a sincere gift of himself. And if I was not given opportunities in the church to lead and have, air quotes, some authority, that responsibility, I think, really helped me mature. And so I'm sure you've seen that a lot in the parish as well. You need that. What do you think?
Absolutely. And part of being a good servant leader is opening places and spaces for people to step in. And knowing, like, I would deliberately refuse to make decisions on things that people should be making, and saying, I'm not going to decide. These are your choices. This is what's going to happen. I'll help you face the consequences. But I need you to figure out how to make a decision, because this is your job. And I'm wanting you to rise to the occasion. And usually they'll be very sheepish and kind of scared. But then once that they have somebody who believes in them, who can mentor them and say, you can do it, but I need you to make a decision, they start to grow and mature, and it's beautiful.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And I'm wondering if any of our listeners out there are like me, who need that, that push to step up and serve. If that's you, give us a call at 877-757-9424. That's 877-757-9424. We hope to be talking with you right after the break. Stay tuned.
This is Life News Radio. I'm Jim Anderson. National Right to Life is responding to news about Planned Parenthood being denied Medicaid tax dollars under last summer's congressional budget. The remaining 6 months of that funding block ends just in time to land in the middle of midterm congressional election campaigns. The Swiss canton of Zurich is growing a sort of inevitable governmental schizophrenia over suicide. Countervailing interests are developing between protecting some human persons on one hand and the other helping or even coercing certain other persons into arranged dying. The local cantonal government will favor assisted suicide in retirement communities or nursing homes, but not so much in prisons or psychiatric hospitals. This is Life News Radio. Texans may sue abortion providers anytime abortion causes them loss. California Dr. Remy Coito is discovering how that works after he trafficked abortion pills that ended the lives of one man's children. And another civil suit could change the practice of in vitro fertilization. One couple discovered that test tubes are highly subject to mix-ups. The child they bonded with during pregnancy and now deeply love is someone else's biological child. And a case of euthanasia or arranged dying in Spain is casting a long shadow on the future of psychology and the medical practice of organ donation. Wesley Smith points to the suicide that had doctors examining essentially their victim for their transplant strategy. The bioethicist foretells a medical environment where euthanasia legalization offers society a utilitarian stake in sick and disabled patients being killed. For pro-life headlines delivered to your email address daily, sign up at lifenews.com. This has been Life News Radio.
You're listening to The Quest, a pilgrimage of faith. Have a question or something to share? Call the show live at 877-757-9424.
Welcome back to The Quest, where we are talking all about servant leadership. You guys are at it now. Lighten up our phone boards, but there is still room for you. So if you've had a situation where you're serving at the parish, you're involved, tell us, how has that been a positive experience? Has there been some sort of conflicts that you've had to work through? Has that helped you grow and mature as a person? Even help you thrive in your spiritual life? We want to know about these things. So give us a call at 877-757-9424. I'm about to go to Susan, and then after Susan, I'm going to get to Peter, and then I want to hear from you. So give us a call at 877-757-9424. And I also see that we've got these first-time callers lining up. So first-time caller Susan, welcome. She's listening from the Guadalupe Radio Network from San Antonio, Texas. Welcome, Susan. You're on The Quest.
Hi, thank you. First, I just wanted to say I was in youth ministry, and since I was a teenager, I was involved in some capacity in my parish or in the archdiocese. In youth ministry or in choir or something, just any various capacities. But when I went, but I was in a parish where when I joined the parish, we had a priest who was, I heard him say when I went to the rectory one day, I'm just the priest. I don't do business. He didn't want to deal with the business part of the parish. And he was very likable. He did a lot of counseling with parishioners and all. And but he was very friendly and well liked. After him, we got a priest who was a pastor who was more business, and focused on that a little bit more. And not as quite as friendly or personable with the people. I think he had been kind of burned in a previous parish, and now we have one that's a little more balanced. So he's part of the people, and he's concerned about the business part as well. So it's been interesting to see the growth, and so the people who were there with the first priest, who was kind of let everyone do what they're seeing. That leadership has kind of been getting out because Well, now our new pastor is trying to be, first thing he did was put the oh gosh, to put the tabernacle on the altar. And so, and he didn't ask anyone first or let anyone know first. So, but he's been really good for the parish. So just to see that the different leaderships and how they've gone through the parish, and then the growth in the parish, as they've gone through the different faiths.
Yes, and I've seen that, Susan, in different places that what's really common actually is the demand now, try to find a business administrator that does the business aspect of the parish. That's just business, that's finance, and like hiring contractors to fix the roof or et cetera, things like that. To hire somebody who really is an expert in business stuff so that they can focus on being the sacraments and healing and holiness and all that kind of thing. Yet, I completely understand that you have to have somebody who's very adept and acutely aware of business matters, because if that person is not overseen, they could also hurt the parish a lot as well, and even put the parish into debt or make some bad decisions that not are keeping with the Catholic faith. So I think you're absolutely right. It's ideal when you get a priest who can do the business stuff and run things very well in that regard, but also is very spiritual. And to be honest, it's kind of rare when you get somebody who is a very good businessman and very good administrator, and they also are holy. They really are with the people and they love people. It's difficult to get somebody who's, as you said, balanced. So we have to pray for our priests, but I think we can come up with different solutions too. Like I'm trying to encourage our young pastor to get a business administrator, and we just hired one 3 months ago, and it's been a great, wonderful gift for our parish.
That's beautiful response.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Susan. Thanks for
Thank
calling.
you, Susan. Thank you so much,
Thank
Susan.
you. And I love going to, I've been to Mass. They were in Corpus, and it was beautiful. So I look forward to going back again. Thank you, Father.
Thanks, Susan.
Wonderful. That's beautiful. Thank you, Susan, for joining us today on The Quest and for stepping out as a first-time caller. We do hope that you will continue to take this pilgrimage of faith with us on The Quest, and we do hope that you'll call us again. I am going to throw the number out there one more time before I hop over to Peter, because I want you to join this conversation as well. We are talking about servant leadership in your parish today. And so we want to know, how do you use your gifts to serve in your parish community? Has that been something that has helped you grow spiritually as a person, in your own formation, in your own human formation, in your own maturity? What has that been like for you? Has God called you to servant leadership? You feel that poke on your heart like, he's calling me now to do something, but I'm not sure. We're here to support you. Give us a call and let us walk with you through that at 877-757-9424. That's 877-757-9424. Now I'd like to welcome on another first-time caller. Wow. Peter, who's listening on the Guadalupe Radio Network from San Antonio, Texas. Welcome, Peter. You are on The Quest with Father Sam Medley.
Hello, Father. How you doing?
Pretty good, Peter. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I had a question. The church normally gives out awards for people who help out and do ministry, and I think it's called the Lumen Gentium Award. It's like one of the most prestigious awards the laity can receive. I've been working for many years, but I never have considered myself to be, looking to receive an award. But I just was kind of questioning, how does one go about, or how do you select a person to receive an award like that?
Well, the first thing I would say, Peter, is to remember who you're really doing it for. To remember that that you're ultimately really looking for the recognition from Jesus himself, and that if you do come to serve in the church, that desire will always be purified and always be tested. And not only that, that service will require some moments that are very humbling. And if the church doesn't recognize you, Jesus is the one who sees you and knows exactly what you're doing and how much hard work you put into it. For someone to come to ministry, they have to be willing, available, and capable. And those are three huge things. And those, I guess they look at what the visible stuff that somebody's done, but they have a tendency not to see somebody who's like a janitor who just quietly cleans up everybody else's mess. Or they don't see a lot of people who like trim the trees outside or mow the lawn, or somebody who does something that's quiet and that's constant and that is always being done for them. They have a tendency to look at big flashy projects and those kind of things. So, and sometimes, Peter, I'll just be honest, sometimes there's an in crowd, and that's part of human sinfulness as well. And that's something that's really painful too.
Wonderful,
Yeah, I'm
Father.
not interested in receiving a reward. I don't think my whole purpose of ministry is to receive something, but it just I saw some people that were just coming into the church, and then I saw another individual who was always there and had Down syndrome. So I didn't know if they were just looking at that individual or they were just finding somebody to kind of like bring him along and to say, yes, here's something for your extra effort.
Yeah, I really don't know. That's a Texas thing. It's in the Diocese of San Antonio, Austin, and it's not universal in the whole United States. But it's a beautiful thing to recognize people. But I don't really know the criteria or how that works. But I would just encourage you to just keep on serving, and it's so nice to get a thank you. It's so nice to get recognition from people who say what you're doing matters, and I value your contribution and thank you for your service.
Yeah. Wonderful, Father Sam.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much, Peter,
So,
for joining us. Oh,
Peter,
sorry,
let
Father.
me say
Yeah.
let me say just this: thank you for serving. If nobody else said it to you, in the name of Jesus Christ, I would like to thank you for serving.
Yes, I'm going to continue as long as the Lord wants me to serve. So
Amen.
I was just kind of curious about that, how they would make that selection. But
Yeah.
thank you very much for answering my question.
Sure, Peter.
Absolutely. Thank you, Peter, and for coming on today's show as a first-time caller. We do hope that you'll call us again and continue joining us here on The Quest. You have a blessed day, and stay with us for the rest of the episode. I know we've got some more callers coming as we get, things going here. I just wanted to take a moment and address a question we got on YouTube, Father Sam, and then we had a YouTube question from a listener, and they kind of going off Peter's question, they asked, what is the most important characteristic in a servant leader? So maybe you could elaborate from your perspective as a priest.
Well, yeah, it's humility. Humility in one sense that you recognize your authority is from Jesus, and you're therefore not afraid to exercise that authority. It doesn't sound like humility, but humility is the truth. The truth is, if you're given authority, you should not be afraid to use the authority when it is necessary. On the other hand, there's a subjective kind of humility that you should have a lot of reverence and be careful of thinking of your own self-importance. Yeah. And if you're really serving, your ego will be purified very, very much. And somebody was giving me a whole bunch of compliments, and they're like worried about my ego's getting puffed up. I'm like, I don't know. It's, I've had so many failures and successes and all the rest of it that doesn't really faze me very much when people insult or compliment me, just because the fact is, like, you will be purified if you come forward to serve the Lord.
Absolutely. I remember when I first started doing ministry work, especially at the college, and I just remember feeling like, whoa, I have to unite this to Christ because it is a hard thing sometimes to do young adult ministry, especially being a young adult myself and working with, different personalities and finding my own leadership abilities, finding my own voice. And so I know how crazy it can be sometimes working in ministry. And, there's so much more we can say about this, Father. In the next section, I'd love to talk about that intersection between service and leadership, like as you were mentioning, and when can a leader be directive and when should he kind of like step back and just observe things that are happening. So I think that would be something great to touch on in the next section. I know that was something you were looking forward to talking about. And then I'm also going to get to Faye, who's on the phone lines right after we come back from the break. But I want to remind our listeners that we only have one segment left here in the quest. So we'd love to hear from you. This has been a great conversation to be talking with you, our listeners, about how you have been serving in your parish community and how that experience, what has it done to shape your heart using your gifts to serve the church, or what opportunities and what maybe conflicts have you encountered and had to grow through? What have you had to work out through with your fellow brothers and sisters within the parish? Give us a call and get on the phone lines now. I don't want it to be too late. I don't want to be squeezing you in at the last second. I want to hear from you now at 877-757-9424. That's 877-757-9424. I know you've got something to share, so stay with us because we are going to be talking about servant leadership some more on the other side of the break here on The Quest on the Guadalupe Radio Network. We'll be right back. See you soon.
This is Franciscan Media's Saint of the Day for February 4th. Today we celebrate Saint Joseph of Leonissa. Born in Italy in 1556, Joseph joined the Capuchin Franciscans at the age of 18. He developed outstanding skills as a preacher. Following his ordination, he went to Constantinople as a missioner to the minority Christians, many of whom were galley slaves laboring under their Turkish masters. Joseph was arrested and imprisoned for his work, including preaching Christianity to the Muslims. Following his release, he resumed his missionary efforts. This time he was imprisoned and condemned to death. According to Franciscan accounts, Joseph was miraculously released from prison after a short time. He returned to Italy where he preached and served as a missionary for the next 20 years, sometimes delivering up to 10 sermons a day. Dressed in a worn Franciscan habit, Joseph begged for food and slept on boards. He also devoted himself to the poor and is said to have worked many miracles. Joseph's whole life was devoted to imitating the life of Jesus and inviting others to do the same. Afflicted with cancer, Joseph died in 1612 and was canonized 130 years later. There's more about the saints along with inspiration and Catholic resources at our website, saintoftheday.org. From Franciscan Media, this has been Saint of the Day.
This is The Quest from the studios of the Guadalupe Radio Network. Share the show with a friend. You can find us on social media. Want to listen again? We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, the free Guadalupe Radio Network app, or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts.
Welcome back to The Quest. This is a very exciting episode. Here in the last segment, wow, you guys are all showing up ready to share your stories about servant leadership. I want to get to as many of you as possible. So I'm just going to start going through the list. I'm going to welcome on Faye, who's a first-time caller listening from Silver Springs, Maryland on the radio, on the Guadalupe Radio Network. Welcome, Faye. You are on with Father Sam Medley.
Hi. How are you
Hi.
guys?
We're doing well. Faye, you go on right ahead.
So, my husband and I, we serve in our parish, St. Catherine Labore here in Wheaton, Maryland. And we started to serve after our marriage. We went to our CIA because he was baptized Catholic Christian, but he missed his confirmation. and so to be able to get married in the church, so we, we have to go through the process. And we've been married for almost 21 years, but I never thought that I will be able to serve the parish. And so we are actually both catechists, became catechists because he said, I want to give back to the church. And so we ended up teaching. And we were both nervous because we are the teachers, and we start on the 5th grade. And until now, we're still doing catechist. And we started doing the
Oh no. There we go.
and then now we're doing the special need. And we never thought that we end up doing this. And he become a lector. Our pastor asked him to be a lector, so he's doing that. And it's very enriching ministry, because at the same time we learn about the faith as we go through our lesson planning. And we never thought that after 20 years we're still doing this.
Wow.
And we and so I would share that it helps the faith. You grow in faith as you volunteer doing teaching, and also doing the special need, like we give lesson planning and doing with we keep the parents in the classroom, because some students are really hyperactive, and at the same time the parents also learn about the faith, and that's what I want to share.
Wow.
Wow.
It reminds me that charity brings faith, and service is charity, and charity is the animator or sustenance of faith. And thank you, Faye, for sharing that with our listeners. And I'm sure there's many who would agree with you that serving in the church has brought them an increase of faith as well. So thank you for calling.
Absolutely. It's so powerful, just listening to you use your gifts and allowing God to work through them, Faye. So thank you so much for joining us today on The Quest. You have a blessed day, Faye. Well, I am going to keep moving here. Like I said, I'm going to try to get to as many of you callers as possible here in this final segment. I'm going to move right over to Tom, who's listening on the Guadalupe Radio Network from Houston, Texas. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Tom.
Maybe my story up to this point, and I'll make it as quick, succinct as possible, fits in with your calling people to, develop a ministry or, assist in the church, which I've always been a man of strong faith. Never doubted it. It's always been with me and guided my actions. But over my life, the last 15 years, I call it a season of loss, because in my life I've been stripped of much everything that I took as my foundation, and I've lost a lot. And recently in working through trying to understand that season of loss, I found out from talking with my pastor at my church, with other men, that it's common for a lot of men. And I started writing a book, but it totally shifted and changed. And the first book is called Silence in the Fire. And it's all about the loss, the struggles, the, loss of identity, loss of understanding of what the role of a true man is. And then in consulting with a Catholic author herself, she gave me some guidance on what to do. And it has grown into a second book that follows it called Shield of Armor. And it all deals with how men utilize and become the true identity of man as exhibited by Christ and not the toxic masculinity that the culture tends to want to produce. And I am developing this into a ministry to hold at Catholic churches. And my priest told me, he said, "Oh my gosh, Tom, this is so needed." And I said, "Really?" Because I didn't know. It just kind of grew out of my own experience. And so I'm getting everything lined up and prepared now. So I don't know if that helps or fits what you were trying to talk about. But
Actually, I'd like to reiterate what your pastor said. It is incredibly needed to remember that any service in Christ is going to imitate him. And the greatest thing that he did was lay down his life and let go on the cross was the greatest service Jesus did to anyone. And it never looks fulfilling or looks filling. It always looks like it's suffering. And thank you for doing that. Thank you for writing those books and also for your ministry. You're probably going to help a lot of people, a lot of men.
And you know what, Tom, we'd love to hear more about your ministry. If you would email us, thequest@grnonline.com. That's thequest@grnonline.com. We'd love to hear what you're working with and just more about it and updates as it goes along. So thank you so much for sharing with us, Tom. We'll be praying for you. So know of our prayers for you as you get this going. So I've got just a couple minutes left in the show. I'm gonna go with Lynn. Lynn, I've got just about a minute left for you. She's a first-time caller joining us, listening on the Guadalupe Radio Network from Waco, Texas. Lynn, take it away.
Hello, guys. Thank you for taking my call. I've been involved in ministry in my church in various capacities, but I just wanted to say when we talk about getting involved in ministry and there's egos and sometimes it becomes difficult with different personalities. Recently, I was going to step away from my music ministry and I chose to stay with it and I continue to stay with it, but I was blessed by being able to participate in singing for the dedication of our new parish. So all of the things that I've gone through recently, I'm fairly new with the parish, and there have been some struggles and some just various things that have gone on. But I was so blessed to be able to participate in that, and every time I thought of it coming up and we were practicing, I was brought such joy. And so the fruits that come from ministry, it may not be obvious while we're doing it, but it is such a blessing, and I will continue to work in ministry at my church. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much for calling. Absolutely reiterate what you're saying. A lot of it is just hidden work for so many people. And I just would like to say we had a wonderful show. I just want to say thank you to everyone who serves in the church. And I wish God's blessing upon your ministries.
Thank you so much, Father Sam. Thank you, Lynn, for popping on as a first-time caller, joining us here on The Quest. We are at that time, so, I want to recognize Christy, who was on the phone lines, but I don't have time to get you in because we are going to be cut off, but I want to thank you, and please call us back on another show of The Quest, or you can always email us, thequest@grnonline.com. Father, quickly, can you get us in a little blessing?
Through the intercession of Our Lady, may Almighty God bless you and multiply your charity. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Thank you so much, everyone, for a great show today. Our show team, all of our wonderful callers. Stay tuned because we'll be back with The Quest tomorrow. See you then.